Hi, good evening. Welcome to the John Gaunt podcast. Here's the question then. Is Keir Starmer trying to turn the UK into North Korea? There he is. Spot the difference. What do you reckon? Let's take your views. I really want your opinions tonight. And before the usual suspects lose their tiny uber liberal minds, let me tell you that the statement is political hyperbole. Yes, it's not a literal comparison. It's a critique of direction, behaviour, and power. Not a claim that Britain is yet a dictatorship. I think that's me secured my backside. Because when I say North Korea, I'm using hyperbole, the way people always have when warning about authoritarian drift. And make no mistake, that is what's happening. This is not about images of girls and little girls, as they're describing it, 11 plus. And it's not about women. It's about Starmer not wanting any criticism. And it's Starmer versus Elon Musk versus Donald Trump versus the United States of America. They're playing with fire. And if my language offends you, more than digital ID, no trials and no juries or two-tier policing or the silencing of dissent, sending people to prison for hurty words, well, I think that says something about you rather than me. In this live show, I'm going to break down serious concerns about the leadership of our supreme leader, Keir Starmer. He's a wrong 'un. And the growing sense that dissent, free speech, and equal treatment under the law are being eroded. I make no excuses for coming back to this subject. It's massive because today, good evening, by the way, Keir Starmer has asked Ofcom to investigate X, Twitter, over responses generated by Grok. You know what it's about. It's where they nudify people. Now, don't get me wrong. As the father of two girls, I don't like it. And whoever does it, I want them arrested and sorted out. But the bottom line is we have the laws for that. The danger is this is the very thin end of a very, very large wedge. Think about political cartoons. If we were talking about political cartoons, where do you draw the line? Is it okay, like I've seen over the last couple of days, to put David Lammy in a bikini? Is it okay to put Keir Starmer in or Jeremy Corbyn? Sometimes it's satire. Do we really want the Prime Minister, particularly this Prime Minister, who's the thinnest skin? I've had poppadoms that have got thicker skins than this man. That's not a very good analogy, but you understand what I mean. So a sitting Prime Minister has encouraged the state regulator, Ofcom, who, as you know, I think should be completely wound down, but he's asked them to investigate the social media platform Twitter or X over images produced by AI in the name of harm, safety, or misinformation. And he says that they will put, well, not he, stupid Liz Kendall, the tech minister. I wouldn't trust her to run a bloody bath, to use a cliche, let alone to regulate the internet. She's just stood up in Parliament and she's basically said the full weight of the law and Parliament will be behind Ofcom. And they want them to do this within a week. Laws made in haste are always a mistake. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not in favour of the images. Although I do find it ironic that we've now got a government who are willing to stand up in Parliament, although I notice it wasn't Keir Starmer itself, he sent Liz Kendall, are willing to stand up and say, this is terrible. We will not allow the abuse of young girls and women, not for another minute. We're going to clamp down on it. Well, what a pity they didn't say that about the Muslim rape gangs. It's true, isn't it? They had to be dragged to do a public inquiry, which won't even start now until March. There's a whiff of hypocrisy. Do you not think so? Because I'm very, very worried. Because when governments start leaning on regulators to police speech they don't like, where does it end? Will we end up in North Korea? Not a literal comparison. It's clearly hyperbole. I'm talking hyperbolics. Well, you're always talking bollocks, Gaunty. Yes, I know. So from digital ID to two-tier policing, media bias, to delegitimizing opposition voters, calling them racists, etc., Nigel Farage, we look at whether Britain is moving away from open democratic debate and towards managed, approved opinion, i.e. you can only say what the party wants you to say. I think this is really, really bloody frightening. And I'm not being over the top. I'm using some over the top language to attract you to the video. But in the next half hour, I think I'll prove to you that we've entered dangerous new waters. He's the most hated PM in history. He doesn't even make this announcement himself. He hasn't protected, and nor did, to be fair, Rishi Sunak and Johnson before him. The political establishment have failed the girls right across the country, but now they're getting really worked up about Twitter, X, and these nudified pictures. Let me keep stressing, I don't like it either, but in a way, it just goes with the territory if you're a political person, and I just think he's so thin-skinned, he's had enough. I made a joke on Twitter the other day, will he ban football next? Because every darts, because every ground in the world and every darts tournament, in fact, wherever people congregate, they're singing, Starmer is a wanker. So is that the next thing that he will ban? So tonight, there's a whole list of what we're going to go through where I think there's a worry. And I just think he's really played his cards now, but I think he's made a big mistake because America's got the Trump card. Nice metaphor, Gaunty. They've got Donald Trump. He isn't going to allow his big tech firms to be curtailed like this. Elon Musk should somehow stop it. But remember, it isn't just Elon Musk and Twitter that's doing this. Chat GPT, you can do these images. The people who do them are foul idiots. But it's such an odd thing, isn't it, that Starmer has got his little Y-fronts in such a twist about this. And evidently he's really angry, you know. He could crush a grape. He could tear a tissue. He could rip the arm off an action man. He's very wound up. And I think he thinks you are as well, which I don't think you are. It's not nice. It's not tasteful. It's pretty horrid. Don't do it. We got laws. Clamp down on it. That's the way to do it. He wants to ban Twitter. And before you tell me, no, he's not saying that, listen to her words. Listen to his words, the government's words. They're saying that if Musk doesn't do this, they will use every power they can. And the way they do this, they use Ofcom. Ofcom are the Stasi of the broadcast world. Bunch of middle-class buffoons, all probably Marxists as well, who got their view of the world, which effectively is just believe things that you read in The Guardian, often misspelt, but don't believe any other outlook. Look at the relentless attacks at the beginning this government had on GB News. They thought that GB News shouldn't exist because it was right-wing. Now look at the other side, the BBC. The BBC falsified the words and the images of Donald Trump. Have the BBC been closed down? No. Have they been threatened with closure? No. Has anybody, well, two of them stood down, but they haven't really been punished for what they did. Then they admit themselves, the BBC, oh, we were biased about Gaza and about Israel. And now they've done the same with Iran. They haven't wanted to cover Iran. And if it wasn't for GB News, and if it wasn't for Twitter and X and a little bit of Facebook, you wouldn't know that thousands of people are being slaughtered in the streets. And where's our Prime Minister? He's worrying about Twitter, sitting on his hands again on that fence. He'll not only get splinters in his arse, it'll clap soon. The man is a stinking hypocrite, but he's also wanting to get rid of any dissent. Don't believe me? Let's talk about digital ID. Nobody in the country wants it. Poll after poll shows it. He's still pushing for it. Let's look at juries. Lammy, he's number 2, literally and metaphorically speaking. David Lammy, he says we're going to get rid of juries unless it's a murder. Well, I don't know about you. I think that's very, very dangerous. And I think, again, it's the actions of a tyrant or a dictator. What about the 2-tier policing of protests and public disorder? We know it's 2-tier. They've almost admitted it now. Don't believe me? Let's look at Birmingham, where that bald, ugly copper, I won't be able to say that soon, the chief constable, he falsified the evidence. He knew the threat was coming from Muslim louts who were tooled up. But he said, no, it's Tel Aviv Maccabi and their fans, the Israelis, the Jews. It's their fault. And so, therefore, the Jews were banned from coming to the football. Do you see where I'm going with this? I'm right in what I'm saying. Absolutely bang on the money. If you want to comment or maybe say, well, what about this? What about that? Just write a comment in the comment box and we'll come to you in a moment. So there's 2-tier policing of protests. Then you've got the Southport riots. And dare I mention Lucy Connolly? She went to prison. She's meant to do 31 months for hurty words, horrible words, which I again condemned at the time. But she took it down within 3 hours. Why did she go to prison? To shut you up. It's called the chilling effect. The more of this he does, the more you'll keep quiet. You won't get involved. Why did he televise the sentencing of both people who probably deserve to go to prison? I don't think anyone trying to burn down a hotel, I don't think that was a good thing at all. But why were they televised? They were televised to send a message to you, to shut you up. It's even happened on Facebook and Twitter. People are more careful what they say. But opinion, free speech has to be preserved. Today, I wrote up this and I ran it through ChatGPT. I'll tell you the truth. And it was trying to censor, modify, make my language, more bland, more vanilla. They said, I don't think you should use North Korea, which is why at the beginning of this broadcast, I gave that little disclaimer saying, I don't mean we are North Korea. I mean, it's an expression. It's hyperbolics. Yeah? Do you understand what I mean? Why should you have to do that in Britain, the land of free speech, the country that created democracy? Why? I'll tell you why. Because Starmer has had a chilling effect. He's also planted all his common purpose Marxists in all the major places in society. That's why that chief constable still hasn't been sacked. Still hasn't been sacked. And what they want is that police and institutional narratives will always go and challenge. Why? Why can't you have a different opinion? Isn't that what our democracy is about? The BBC bias is a massive issue. And the BBC now needs to be closed down. Let's talk about, if you might want to join in on the Birmingham copper. He's still got his job after falsifying the evidence. What about first cousin marriages within the Muslim community and cultural double standards? How come the Muslim community can have their women dressed like Daleks and we're not meant to say anything? But if a man who wasn't a Muslim, put that kind of restriction on a more westernized woman, that would be harassment. That would be wrong, wouldn't it? And the first cousin marriage, did you see that lick-spittle MP on GB News? Did you see him, Barry Gardiner, who basically said, well, first cousin marriage is a good thing. He defended it. Go to the fucking hospitals and see all the kids who are being born with real disabilities as a result of it. It belongs to a bygone age and it has no place in this democracy. What about the Red Wall? The betrayal of those people. What about voter alienation? What about the fact that he had a manifesto that was full of lies? And what about this? How about the tolerance of the intolerant? Why are we all meant to go along and say, yeah, diversity is our strength and this country was built on immigration? Both lies. Absolute lies. I'm not saying that immigrants haven't helped this country. Of course they have. Look at the Irish. Look at the Pakistani doctors and Indian doctors who came in the 60s. We wouldn't have had a good health service without them. I accept that. But it wasn't built on it. It's not like America, which was built on immigration. It's a false narrative, but we're not meant to challenge it. We're not meant to challenge that diversity is a great thing, has made us strong. It hasn't. It's made us weak. And before you say anything, look at what's happened in London today. The crime rates are out. Murder is down. So you had the chief constable, or whatever his name is, the commissionaire. I wouldn't let him be a commissionaire on the door of a hotel myself. But you had Mark Rowley on saying crime's down in London. Crime is not down. Murder's down. Rape is up by, I think, 90%. Violent attacks are up. But he's painting a picture and we're not allowed to criticize that because in Starmer's world, everything is great. And he's the prime example of it himself, isn't he? He's so deluded. Oh, yeah, I'm going to do a full term, even though his own party are trying to get rid of him. This is what we're up against. And that's why I say we're turning into North Korea. We'll be having the big displays of the military, although I doubt whether the military would march for him soon. But he's almost got to the point with his videos. Everything's great. I'm brilliant. And I'm fantastic. If you're that brilliant and fantastic, why aren't you coming out and meeting the people anymore, Keir Starmer? Because you're not. Ever since you were called a wanker at Southport, you've hidden in 10 Downing Street. In fact, I would imagine the foul despot dictator Kim Rongan himself, who you seem to be modelling yourself on, I think he appears in public more. You're scared stiff. You've been fricked since then. And then you dare to allow Mandelson to go on the BBC and say, oh, yeah, I didn't because I'm gay, I didn't realise he was trafficking all these women. And that's on the BBC. You allow that to be on the BBC. And then you want to control Elon Musk's platform. Why don't you start a bit closer to home? Oh, no, you won't, will you? Why? Because the BBC is institutionally biased to you. That's why. Why have we got weak or no action on Iran? Why aren't we saying to President Trump, if you want to go into Iran, we're with you? Because I'll tell you something, the British people would be behind that much more than sending their children to die in Russia or the Ukraine. Then there's his disregard for Parliament and democratic norms. He won't do Prime Minister's questions. He's turned it into, I won't answer any questions. It's deflection all the time. Or at the beginning of each Prime Minister's questions, he tells everyone how bloody brilliant he is. He even got a bollocking off the Speaker. And the Speaker is a Labour MP, Mr. Hoyle. What about that Laura Kursberg interview with Mandelson? And the one that she did with him last week, he got an hour of soft soaping. And he got an hour to say, yeah. And then she says, oh, you look so much better, so relaxed. I'd look better and more relaxed if I'd had 2 weeks in Chequers, stately home out there in Buckinghamshire, all expenses covered. Then we've got the government. They want to act as the parent to our families and our children. We don't want them to. We'll provide the school dinners. We'll provide the breakfast. Keep out of our homes. Because all you do is indoctrinate our kids with your education system. What about the immigration? You're not allowed to say, well, I don't agree with it. All of those people who are getting in at Dover, they're all illegal. Deport the lot of them. Deport, deport, deport. You're suddenly a fascist if you say that. Nothing fascist about that. Actually deterring the people is, you could say, is an act of kindness. Would have less people dying in the Channel. I won't even bother talking about early prisoner releases. I won't even talk about justice for the moment. But it's just mad. And then, of course, this weekend, he eventually comes out, not in that way, he comes out and he says, is trying to get us closer to the EU. Do the British people want that? Has there been a referendum while I've been asleep? No. He's just decided. He hasn't got a mandate for that. And then there's the demonisation of ordinary people like me and you and people like Nigel Farage and Reform, calling them racist rather than debate their ideas. It happened again today when that guy from Stratford, the MP, the ex-chancellor's moved over. I'm not very keen on what Farage is doing. It's dangerous just taking on loads of ex-Tory MPs, but that's a separate issue. And then the other thing he does, all great dictators and leaders do this. When I say great, you know what I mean. They all surround themselves by mediocrity. Have you not seen Nuremberg? They don't want anyone to challenge them in case they take over the role of supreme leader. So he's got a bunch of muppets around him, like Liz Kendall, who's in charge of the fight against the richest man in the world and the most powerful man in the world, Musk and Trump. Then we've got all the manifesto commitments and contradictions and broken promises. Then the way that he beats up farmers, he beats up the elderly, he beats up the pubs. And then he does a half U-turn a year later after putting them through stress and after certain people have committed suicide. And then, of course, finally, as all great dictators do, what's he done? Cancelled elections. He's cancelled elections. And people now, there's a narrative in the media, oh, well, it doesn't really matter. It bloody does matter. Because this isn't left versus right. It's power versus accountability. It's democracy versus a dictatorship. And I say it has to stop, and it has to stop now. Are you with me or against me? There you go. 22 minutes of Gaunty ranting. Now it's over to you. Loads of people have commented. I'll come to your comments now. If you like what I'm doing, please press the like button. We've got 22 likes. That's good. But I want a few more than that. I also want you to donate if you can afford it. Just click the $ next to the comments and donate whatever you can afford. Or go to www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. And I've tried something new today. I've been replaying some of my old podcasts in the afternoon. Feel free to watch them. They go out as live. I do put the word replay on so you know. But it's just another way of getting the message out there. So thank you for those of you who supported them this afternoon. Right, let's get going. TV Steve Harris says, John, what about you in a mankini? Laugh out loud. Thank you, TV Steve Harris on YouTube. Listen, if they did that to me, it happens. They've had pictures of me, really fat bloke. It wasn't me, it was somebody else, on a bike to try and put me down. Well, I just ignore it. But he's the Prime Minister. Hula Hooper, I'm not reading out your thing, it's filth. Ofcom still answers to the government, so it's not independent. Well, they play that game, don't they? It's arm's length. What Starmer's done, rather than Starmer saying, I'm closing down Twitter, he makes Ofcom do it. So it's at arm's length. So he can say, well, they're the regulator and they're the professionals. They're the experts. And they've told me that what's happening is wrong and that Elon Musk won't change it. So reluctantly, they've broken the law. So reluctantly, I'm closing them down. That will be what he says. Stephen Hall says, evening, everyone. Thank you. It's a social club for you, isn't it? If he bans football, Arsenal might win the league, says Nigel Gordon. Thank you. Ofcom ruined radio. They certainly did because they effectively finished my career, didn't they? I hate them. Everything about them. Do you know the woman who used to run it? Sharon, whatever her name is. She did that. Then she went to Waitrose. She basically bankrupted Waitrose. And now she's got another top job like that. It's the same people on a merry-go-round. It's like when I was watching Laura Kunsberg yesterday. Who were those people on the panel? Why is their opinion worth more than yours or mine? Craig Urquhart says it should be renamed Ofcommy. It's more dangerous than that. I know Dan Wootton calls them the communists of Ofcom, but it's more than that. If they were just communists, they'd be easy to deal with. They're part of that whole establishment class. I always remember when my case went to the Supreme Court or whatever it was, the judge had to listen to the tape of that day, that show, that bloke when I called him a Nazi. He'd obviously never heard that kind of radio in his life. He was a Radio 4 man. How can he judge me? Different audiences. And that's some of the problem. Where are we going next? Good idea, says John Yunley. I don't know what's a good idea, but thank you. He will push for digital IT. Next step, he'll be joining the EU. Well, this is what I'm saying in my whole monologue at the beginning of the show. All these things are linked. He doesn't want trial by jury. This week it'll be for anything but murders. Then it'll be even murders. Let a judge decide. They understand them all more. No. 12 good men and true. He's fundamentally trying to change this country. He's giving votes to 16-year-olds, votes to prisoners. He'll be giving votes to the dingy boys at Dover next. Anything to gerrymander him to keep him in power. But what he also wants to do, and he's succeeded, he wants to scare you into submission. He's almost succeeded on mainstream radio, hasn't he? I'm talking about the genre, not the individual company. Talk radio, it's so conservative, they'd be scared to fart on air nowadays. Not a good idea, actually, in case you follow through. But that's what's happened. You don't get real debate anymore. And what I was just telling you about ChatGPT, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Oh, I'm not sure you can say that. The law's this. So then I end up having a bloody row with a bot. I say to him, hold on, I'm a journalist, 30 years experience. You can say this. He's the Prime Minister. You can almost say anything you want, apart from, certain obvious things. About him, you can criticise him. That's called free speech. That's what our country still got. He doesn't want that because it isn't about pictures of girls nudified, which I am totally against, of course, and certainly kids, although I've seen no example of. They keep going on about kids. Have you seen any examples? I haven't. I've seen certain famous women. Diane Abbott was one. That awful woman, Norinda, she was one. And it's not pleasant. I accept that. It isn't pleasant. Not the picture. I'm talking about the actual attack on those women. It's not right. It's not right. But you've got to be very careful where this line is because of satire. We've already got to a point where, can I laugh at that? And you have to ask before you do laugh, don't you? Can I say this? That's not the world we want to live in. Now, Elon Musk has got to play his part in this. But what they're doing instead, Starmer balls out, right? Which surprises me. But he's balls out. He wants to have a fight with Elon Musk and Donald Trump until he sees Donald Trump face to face. And then he'll quiver again. Oh, I got a letter from the king. Anyway, whatever you think, tell me your opinions. This is nice. Kev Phillips 02 on YouTube says, Gaunty is back. You're right. I am back and I'm firing on all cylinders. You don't need to be brain in Britain to see why this most hated UK PM ever is commonly known as Sir Two-Tier, Never Here, Kim Jong-un, Stalin, etc., says Michael Bow. Well done, Michael. Thank you very much indeed. I don't understand how it's happened. It's like, why did he get elected? I'm scared to put anything on Facebook now, says Stephen Hall. That's kind of proving my point, isn't it? It's two-tier everything, says Ben Essick, 1325 on YouTube. Council housing, benefits, courts, all of it. It's all down to political orders. It's even worse than that, Ben. What happens is people then begin to second guess the supreme leader. Oh, he doesn't like this. He doesn't like that. And that has this chilling effect right through society. So everybody is scared of their own shadow. So what happens in the end? Starmer doesn't have to really say anything. He can come over, oh, no, I'm Mr. Liberal, which is why he's using Ofcom in this way. But please remember, I'm saying I don't like that Grok thing, that setup and the way they're doing it. I think it's too far. I don't think there's any need for it. It's like when I tell people off for using single entendres rather than double entendres. Try and be a bit intelligent, a bit clever with your sarcasm. However, I've not seen pictures of 11-year-olds. Now, I know that happens on pornography sites because I've read articles about it. Is he going to close all that down as well? Or Chat GPT or any of the other, what do you call them, AI setups? Do you see where I'm coming from? And also, it is a little bit of like when they, in the mills, when they started wrecking the looms, and also when the railway was coming across the United States of America, they tried to stop it. The railway's coming, stop it. Well, you can't be a Luddite, can you really? This is advancement. And with that advancement, and that's what AI is, it's the fourth or whatever, third or whatever, industrial revolution. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs. Of course they are. So what we should be concentrating on is what are they going to do now? But that's not what he wants to concentrate. He wants to deflect, like always. And like they talk about the protection of women and young girls. What about the rape gangs? It's total and utter hypocrisy. Starmer would love to stop free speech, says Den Spinks on Facebook. He'd also stop free thinking if he thought he could. But the arsehole can't do that. Ooh, you'll be in trouble for calling him that, Den. Thank you very much indeed. Again, that's what I'm saying, Den. This is an attack on free speech. Kev Phillips says, I think the BBC days are numbered. Well, I thought that for about a week, but it's not true. Not under Starmer. Of course they're not. Why would he get rid of the BBC? He's got them frightened now. He's had them put in a box. The only man he can't put into a box, or two men, Elon Musk and Starmer. Elon Musk has got so much money and so much power, not just with Twitter / X, but Tesla with his space things. He's even, he sends up those, what's it called? It's like internet, but on the satellite. He's given loads of them to the protesters in Iran. And it's like Trump. Trump's this terrible man. Oh, yeah, well, he's brought peace almost to the Middle East. He's sorted out the Ukraine. He's going to sort out North Korea as well, by the look of it. But no, we've got to hate him. He's a rapist. Never been convicted in a court of law. Just nonsense. But we're not allowed to have the other narrative. Well, how much would we know? I mean, people go on at Trump about Epstein, but would we know anything about him without Twitter? Would the grooming gang thing have just disappeared without X/Twitter? Yes, it would have done. Just my view. If you disagree, I'd like your views as well. But if you agree, come on, let's hear from you. And let's have some donations. Man cannot live on vitriol alone or oratory alone. So if you fancy donating a few quid, could you just please press that $sign and donate a few quid? It's also the last day of tomorrow's the last day of the week. It's Tuesday, isn't it, tomorrow? If you'd like to donate on Buy Me a Coffee, go to www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. Tomorrow's show, I will put it out at 6 again as a repeat, but it will be earlier in the day because I'm having to go off dog sitting. I got an emergency call today. When your daughter asks for something, if you're a proper dad, you do it. I didn't ring up Keir Starmer and say, Keir, can you look after my daughter's dog for me? Because I'm a fucking shit parent. No. I said, yes, I'll be there. So I'm going. I'm going for a few days, but I will be doing the shows. So don't worry about it. And the dog might make an appearance if you're lucky. John, I really think people are now genuinely frightened to debate. Of course they are. I'm no longer on Facebook as I don't want to visit from the Starmer police. I know where you're coming from. Patriot Dan 79, not allowed an opinion anymore unless it suits their Fabian agenda. Stephen Hall says, never been a fan of religion. What's that got to do with anything? We're not talking about religion. Gaunty is back, says Kev Phillips. You've said that already, but thank you. Stephen Hall, you're doing what you did last night, stating the obvious. Try and come up with something original. I don't want to live in a diverse area. Thank you, Starmer. You can't. You spelt can't wrong again. I keep telling you, there's no... Anyway, Jim Garfield is a man who's donated several times. Big supporter of the show. Of course, we want these vile images outlawed, John. So that's what I'm saying. What I don't understand is the concentration on X. Could it be Starmer wants X banned due to Musk's criticism of him? Oh, Jim, never. The Lib Dems also want X banned too. Yeah, I mean, if that was, I thought about that over the weekend. If they banned the Lib Dems or they got rid of it, Twitter, where would that Ed Davey be able to show us his really funny videos on a roller coaster or with a hobby horse? Ooh, crush a grape. What would you do then, you buffoon? But he does want it banned because although he's a liberal Democrat, he doesn't believe in free speech. The only free speech he believes in is his own. I learnt a very important lesson. I learnt it from a woman called Sammy. No, Shammy even. Shammy, Chakrabarti. I used to slag her off like no end when I was on the Cerner and on Talk or radio, Talk Sport, whatever it was called. And I even called her the most dangerous woman in Britain, right? I was horrible to her because I couldn't stand her. I couldn't stand what she stood for. When I got done by Talk Radio, Sport, whatever, fat Australian bloke, whatever it's called, she came to my defense. And people said, oh, why did you let her help you? Well, because she said one thing to me, very important thing to me. She said, I believe in free speech, even free speech for people whose opinions I don't like or like them. I said, are you talking about me? She said, yeah. She said, but actually, now I've got to know you. I quite like you. I said, well, that's funny because I quite like you too. It was just that kind of conversation. But that taught me, if you're not willing to defend free speech, totally, you got a problem. I'm not talking about racism or anything like that, but strong political opinions. You've got to. That's what democracy is about. So, shammy, taught Gaunty a lesson. Craig Urquhart, our military march would last about 12 minutes. Oh, yeah, because I just said that's what Starmer will do next. He'll have a march past Downing Street so he can wave to the crowds and give his speech. And has he now got to a point where he's got like loads of stand-ins like Putin and like Kim Rongan? Huh? Can you imagine being Keir Starmer's stand-in? What would be the qualifications for that? No backbone, arse of jelly. I'm sure you can think of other things. I want to be Keir Starmer's stand-in. William Francis Russell says, look around you. He's already done that. I don't know what you're talking about. Nigel Gordon, Starmer is away from England more times than Judith Chalmers. It's spelt with an L, not an R, but I take on board your point. It's a very good point indeed. She's still alive. You forgot about digital IDs for the newborns. I did mention digital IDs, but you're right. This latest idea that every baby's going to have one, that's shocking, isn't it? But he doesn't care. He doesn't give an SH1T about your views. He's just ploughing on, just like he's going to send your kids to die in the Ukraine. We're all behind you, Zelensky, the whole of the UK. Starmer, we're not. We'd like that to be over. We'd like you to do a bit more peace talk rather than taking the peace out of all of us. You hate us, but then you want our boys to go and fight for you. You spineless cretin. Won't be able to say that soon. David KT reforms new recruitment. The former vaccine minister, when Kemi refused his peerage, he jumped ship. Reformer hunting for the Muslim vote. Good luck with that, as they've lost mine. I won't be voting again, as you can't trust anyone anymore. Well, I take on board what you're saying. I thought about just doing a show about that tonight, but to be honest, it's a bit tedious, isn't it? I think Farage has made a mistake there, personally. But I don't think him being a former vaccine minister has got anything to do with that. I thought that idiot from Sky asking that question was just a jerk. But anyway, it's a different issue. I don't want to get into the cul-de-sac of reform tonight. John, be careful. We don't want you to get the Lucy Connolly treatment. And we must be close to North Korea with everything that is happening in the UK under this government. You're right, Craig. Thank you for your comments. Starmer is an individual that is very ill. And he doesn't even know he's ill, says Terry on YouTube. Thank you, Terry, indeed. Still not got any donations. Am I that bad tonight? I thought I was firing on all cylinders. Done nearly 40 minutes. Surely that's worth a $5. Press the $sign or go to www.buymeacoffee.com. Don't forget, Lisa's downstairs tonight. It's got the quill out. Got the big book. She's shouting at Bob Cratchit. Bob Cratchit, throw another child on the fire. It's getting cold in here. It's a joke. It's kind of reference to Ebenezer Scrooge. Never mind. Jackie Ward, John, you have painted a dire picture, and I have to say that you are correct. But what can we do about it? What is the answer? We, the ordinary people, need to act before it's too late, before control is taken away from us for good. But how? What can we do? Well, I think we have to do it in little increments, in baby steps, personally, Jackie. I think we've got to make sure that digital ID doesn't happen. Yeah, absolute mass refusal to do it. I think we've got to say, no, Starmer, you are not going to close down Twitter. We are not going to allow it. And we've got to start protesting on the streets. We've got to do something. And we've got to demand action where we want action. I mean, I can't believe that we haven't made any kind of commitment to the people of Iran. Did you see all the people today? All in body bags on the side of the street. Did you hear about the girl who got shot in the back of the head and they just buried her on the roadside curb? These people are monsters. These people are barbarians. These people are savages. And you know what the worst thing is? A load of them are in this country already in sleeper cells. We've got to stand up not to Muslims, to Islamists. It has no place in Western democracy. We can't be tolerant of the intolerant. How many times? Anyway, Starmer is too weak and useless to bring all these policies in. No one takes him seriously, although the sneaky snake will succeed. I think he might win and close down Twitter. I think he might. I think it would be dreadful for our democracy. You see the information game to teach all school and students that British whites have no rights and anything free speech at all. Bad, not saying bad thing. Well, would have been better if you took a moment to rewrite that, but I understand what you mean. I did see that in the news, yeah. Paul Rowbottom, we're literally being asked to disbelieve what we can clearly hear and see. If that's about the crime figures, I definitely agree with you. It was just a joke seeing the Met Commissioner saying, oh, London's safe, murder's down. Yeah, but rape's up. Armed robbery's up. Violence is up. Everything is up. But murder's down. Well done. Keep them peeled. Who used to say that? Keep them peeled. Sean. Police 5, wasn't it? Sean, whatever his name is. Anyway. Craig Presswood, there he is. Starmer and Macron work for the deep state. They must be. The only thing that makes sense. I tend to agree with you there. Pam Millett, what happened to Starmer saying in the pre-elections, Brexit is safe in my hands? He got elected, I think. Craig Mawson says that Barry Gardiner talks a lot of crap. He certainly does, but don't just state the obvious. Yes, he does. He's a disgrace. I'm scared the UK will end up like Iran, as no one would do anything about it. That's one of the worries, isn't it? That we just let this creeping authoritarianism come in. And the next thing we know, we've all got a blockhead haircut like Kim Rongan. And we're off down the merry road of North Korea. I'm hoping Labour turn on him and get rid of him. But who would replace him, says Ronnie Hurst. They're only going to turn on him if they think they can get in power. But if they get in power, they'll just be the same. There's nobody in the Labour Party. See, everyone makes out Andy Burnham's a great bloke. What did he do about the Pakistani Muslim rape gangs? That's right. 0. Cliff Aiden, he's working for the elite and we will lose our freedom if he gets digital ID in. Well, that's really what I've been saying today, isn't it? What's the next one here? You see the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill amendments to scan all data onto all devices, connected online, all documents, images, videos, and age, name, location, and data will be monitored on VPNs. Is that true? Is that true? I'm not sure about that, but thank you very much for your comment. I'll tell you about the mindset of a Labour Party activist. They actually believe in positive discrimination to redress the balance. You're more like a roaring V8 tonight, John. Thanks. Thank you, Den. I need some petrol money, though. So how about a donation? It's a joke. I'm not reading. A lot of people have done more than one thing, so I'm trying to spread it around, guys. All right. You hinted you were going to touch on the tanker story, or was that rhyming slang? No, I was going to tell you about my Uncle Jack and the tanker story, but let me do it another day because we're a bit busy. We've got thousands of calls to get through. Starmer can have loads of stand-ins. They just program another android. The worrying thing is, who are they? Says Jackie Wood. I like it, Jackie. Nice one. Shaw Taylor, says Leon's Tail. He was police 5. Was it Shaw or Sean? Can't remember. Anyway, I did it when I was a kid at school. They had a Midlands quiz and about police and the origins of the police. It was when I was at Hill Farm School. And somehow somebody said, "Oh, your dad's a copper. You should be in the team." So I was in this team, and Shaw Taylor, whatever his name was, we had to go to another school to play. I think it was a posh school. We lost, I think. But and I got the blame. Well, you should have known all the answers, Gaunty. There were questions like, why were they called peelers and bobbies, because of Robert Peel, and questions like that. I got to admit, though, I was quite upset that we didn't win. And I think I took that hurt into adult life. But anyway, Sean Taylor says Richard Pope. We don't know who it is. Somebody called Taylor. Thank you very much indeed for your comments. Right, that's me finished then. Bit disappointing there, got to say. I worked really hard on my monologue. I thought tonight this is going to light the fires of Britain. Good response in terms of how many people are watching and how many people have pressed the like button. Thank you very much indeed for that. Don't forget, I'm doing a series of repeats in the afternoons, not necessarily every day, but when I feel like it. So try and watch those. And it just reminded me today, when I went back and looked at the shows we've produced, there's hundreds of them, hundreds and hundreds of them. So if you're ever bored, make sure you've joined John Gaunt TV or subscribe to it on YouTube, and you can get the whole archive. It's all free. You don't even have to pay to be part of it. You just press the button and say yes, and then make sure you press the subscribe button and the notify button, and then you'll be told every time I'm on. That's how it works. Okay? Right, so that's that. If you want to donate, it's www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. And Patriot Dan makes a really good point here. He says, great show, John, but it's January and we're all skint. Laugh out loud. Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. I do take that on board. But that excuse doesn't really wash when I'm trying to get some food. I'm going to put your leg. And Jackie Ward, she's given me 3 red hearts. It means I can go in a minute. So thank you for that, Jackie. And don't forget, you can also donate on YouTube as well. I'll be back tomorrow. The main show will be early, but I will repeat it at 6 anyway, so you can watch it as live. It's just that I'm off dog sitting. Keir Starmer was busy, so I'm doing it tomorrow. I've got to say, she sent me a text saying, can you do it? And I was like, yeah, I was overjoyed. I'm going in a couple of weeks, but it's 2 or 3 days away. I sit there on my own with the dog. I have my thoughts. I do a bit of writing. It's great. It's great. It's nice to have a change of scenery, isn't it? Anyway, but I'll still do the show. Lighting won't be as good. Sorry about that, but the content will be just as brilliant. Okay, good night. Resist, resist, resist. He is turning us into a form of North Korea. And it's bloody scary. It is scary. And don't misinterpret what I'm saying. Had some lorry driver having a go at me, saying, oh, you think it's all right to have nude pictures of kids? No, I don't. I think it's a disgrace. I think it's disgusting. But he's doing it to control the one thing he can't control at the moment, which is the internet. And I know the internet can be a cesspit. I know it can be all these things, a sewer, all the things you want to say. And you can have horrible people on there. I've suffered with that as well. But the bottom line is, it's also a great tool for democracy, real democracy, and for news. Independent broadcasts like this, what I'm trying to do. Dan Wootton, even if you didn't like him, the stuff he's doing. Lots of people, Mike Graham, lots of people. Anyway, that's my little thing for tonight. So until we speak again, if you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Hey, don't forget to tell them you love them. See ya.